To be sensible is to be sensitive. It's a superpower. Sensitivity, a lot of the times, especially when you're growing up, you hear when you're younger, um, that it's a weakness. That if someone is sensitive, they can't handle pain. Actually, it's the opposite. If you're sensitive, then you can handle pain because you have the ability to be able to onboard pain and yet like continue with your life. If you're insensitive, that doesn't make you strong. That makes you weak. Being insensitive means that you are not able to pick up on things. Like you can't you're not able to read a room and judge the room accurately. As in if you, for example, you know, are in a situation where there's a threat of violence. Let's say that there's a dude at a bus stop, at the same bus stop that you got to go to, and you're looking from out your window at the bus stop and you can see a dude that's in all black and you can't see his face. He's wearing black trainers or shoes, black pants, maybe a black hoodie with a black ski mask, and the hoodie is over his head. You can't see anything but his eyes, you know? But he's just standing there and you can't see whether he has a concealed weapon or something like that. But it's implied from his outfit that that's potentially the case. It's far more likely to be the case, right? Because he's not trying to be detected. And so he's there standing at the bus stop. You're looking from the window and you're like, if you're insensitive, you're like, oh, well, whatever. He's just another human being like all of us are human beings. Yes, he is. Like that's a person in flesh and blood. But at the same time, what is it that they are having to hide, or that they could be perhaps looking to do that results in them having to dress in all black? And it's a hot summer day. It's like 20 degrees in the summer, 20, 30 degrees. And most people are outside in a t-shirt and shorts. And you was, looking to go to that bus stop like you usually do. It's a regular bus stop. And, as you normally do, hop on the bus and go to where you need to go. Maybe you're trying to go to the town or something. But you're looking at that bus stop and a thought in your mind comes like, well, this guy obviously doesn't really look like a dude that might have as much regard as the average person for human life. But you're looking at it like, well, this is my bus stop and I always go to this bus stop, so I'm gonna go regardless. Even though there are thoughts based off of his appearance, there are already thoughts in my mind that have arose that tell me, I don't know, today looks a little bit different from the regular day. Are you sure you want to go to that bus stop? But you go regardless. Now that you go to that bus stop because of your insensitivity and your lack of sensitivity, you're at that bus stop, you walk up to it, and now the guy's eyeing you down, you know what I'm saying? And he's basically saying that maybe wearing something valuable, maybe you I don't know, you're wearing like designer clothes, maybe you got some Jordans on your feet, and maybe you're wearing some Rick Owens pants and a t-shirt, and he can tell by the silhouette and stuff like that. And maybe you've got your iPhone 16 Pro Max out in your hand, and you're just standing there at the bus stop, and you're not really paying attention to what's going on around you. The dude is looking around, he's trying to separate himself from the crowd to get to you, and you're not noticing all of this that he's doing, but he's doing it very subtly. And then all of a sudden he comes near you, grabs your phone out of your arm before you can react, and he's gone. You're not catching up to him. He's nimble, you know what I'm saying? He's pretty slim and tall, so he's quick, and maybe you're on the heavier and smaller side, so maybe you can't run that fast, so and that's like £1,000 phone that's gone out of your hands. He's gonna go sell that. He can easily kind of like reset the phone to factory settings and then sell it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't identify you can't identify the dude because he's in all black, and how you gonna catch up to him to be able to make a report unless the police are around the corner? But other than that, I mean, if that isn't the case, then you might not have a much chance in retrieving what you lost and catching up to the culprit. But it's just these things that where like people are like, but if you're sensitive, you would have looked out the window in that example, and then you would have been like, you know what? Maybe I should just go to the next bus stop along, or I should just go to the back street and take like a different bus that goes a similar route, so I can carry on my day and not have to deal with the threat of violence and intimidation by this random person that's clearly looking to do something. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's like when you're sensitive, it gives you the ability to essentially think about something before you do it, and that's what leads to you being sensible. Sensible people, like people who are able to follow the law and not go to jail for any period within their lives, from the moment they're born until they die. They never had a criminal record. That's a form of sensibility. That's a form of sensibility within that person, because that person has a to an extent has a high probably has like a high level of sensitivity in order to be that sensible, because they're like, oh no, I can't do this because it will lead to that, I can't do that because it will lead to this, and they move in and accordingly to make sure that their freedom is never at stake during the time in which they have their lives to live. But someone who's been in and out of jail, and it's like 1 year he's in jail, what the next year he's out, and then next year he's in and back out again, and then maybe gets a longer sentence, then comes back out, or maybe just gets a life sentence at that point. It's like these people who are in and out of jail or spend a long time in jail, they are insensitive people. Like, they just react. They're usually people where if you apply a bit of pressure to them, any bit of pressure, they're just gonna react to the immediately from the way that they feel, from the first thought and feeling that they get that tells them, oh, you have to go and take this person's life because they just called you a slur. That's stupid. Why are you going to do that? But that's what I'm saying. You have to be insensitive to do that, because okay, the person called you a slur, but that doesn't mean that you have the right to take their life. Not at all. Like, like if you got to go more band for band, if you want to go band for band with that person, you know I don't know, maybe you would go slur for slur. I'm not necessarily saying it's right, but it's like, at least then you are being a little bit more sensitive to, your the environment around you, and with that you can be strategic. Being sensitive allows you to be strategic. Being insensitive means that you are not strategic, because anything that can happen, which is a multitude of different things that can happen in a person's daily life, you're just going to respond any way in which you feel. At some point, that is going to lead you to like extreme failure, which is like embarrassing your family and your lineage and your heritage by going to jail, being the first person to go to jail, or like being the first person to like lose their life at a really young age when it was unnecessary, because it's like, or taking someone's life because it's like you are just, instead of reflecting, you're responding. You're reacting. You're supposed to be able to have that ability to reflect a little bit before you do something. But for those who don't do that, somehow they're seen as strong. Like, that's not strength. That's submission. You're submitting to your emotion. The first thought that you have, and you carry out that thought. That's idiocy. Never is that the right thing. Like almost never is that the right thing to do. Even when something good happens to you, you should always reflect and be like, okay, how do I react and respond to something that's good that's happened to me? So it's not just for like situations that are negative, but it's also for positive situations as well. Sensitivity gives you awareness. Insensitivity, it just leaves you being dumb and leaves you without insight. It leaves you without, being able to explore different mental paradigms and being able to function and operate, in a multitude of different scenarios, without risk of your freedom or your life or the freedom and lives of other people around you. So, yeah, just wanted to basically come here and explain that as a definition, because a lot of definitions and meanings of Words like sensitivity and things like that have definitely been misconstrued, and they get purported to be something that they're not, and that you tend to usually be the opposite when you really break it down.